That fence. That cabin. They were mine, built by my grandfather, cared for by my grandmother, passed down like you'd pass down a family name or a worn Bible. And yet there I was, standing in the Texas heat with dust still on my boots, watching splinters of wood and busted cedar lie scattered across my land like some kind of battlefield, while a woman in spotless white boots pointed at it all like she was proud of the wreckage. "This violates HOA Code 6.2.1, she said, lips tight, voice dripping with the kind of confidence you only get when you've never been told no. It was removed for community safety. I hadn't even gotten all the moving boxes out of my truck. I just arrived to start the next chapter of my life after burying my grandmother, only to find that someone had bulldozed 30 years of memories without even knocking on my door. Now, I didn't say much. Not yet. See, I was raised by that same woman whose cabin was now dust, and she always taught me not to speak when I'm furious, just to listen. So I did. I listened as Karen Whitfield, president of the Harvest Ridge HOA, explained how the cabin never got architectural review approval, how the fence didn't meet the new setback regulations, and how the land was being repurposed for critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure turned out to be a dirt road. A shortcut from Karen's horse ranch to the highway saved her about 12 minutes of driving, I'd guess. She bulldozed my family's cabin for that. But here's what Karen didn't know. The road she plowed went right over a natural gas pipeline, the main junction feeding her entire fancy neighborhood. And what I didn't expect was that I'd be the one holding the keys to it. See, my name's Marcus Rodriguez. I'm a pipeline engineer by trade, Houston-based for years, until Grandma passed and I inherited the land. What she left behind wasn't just a piece of property, it was a buried network of legal documents, easement agreements, and, more importantly, control over that gas line running under our feet. She'd been collecting records, tracking every illegal dig, every sketchy permit, every oops from Karen's HOA. She knew this day would come. And she made sure I'd be ready. The more I looked into it, the worse it got. Karen hadn't just overstepped, torn through federal safety zones, damaged a pressure regulator, and ignored every warning flag staked around the line. I had pictures, timestamps, even maps she clearly never read. It wasn't just a bad decision, it was a ticking time bomb. So I met with Betty, Grandma's old friend and lawyer, and she handed me a folder that made my jaw drop. Turns out this wasn't the first time Karen had done something like this. She had a history, bulldozing, threatening, quietly buying up land with manufactured code violations and anonymous complaints. She was running a one-woman operation to claim everything around her until she hit a wall. Me. And it wasn't just about me, either. A contractor named Jake came forward, hands shaking like he'd seen a ghost. "She told us not to work with you," he said. "Said if we touched that land, she'd have our licenses pulled." Jake showed me photos from the demolition, clear violations, clear damage, all documented. He knew the pipeline was there, but Karen kept saying, "Push through. We'll clean it up later." Thing is, in my line of work, later can mean boom. And when I walked out to the pipeline shut-off valve, saw the cracked regulator buried under the tracks of a Caterpillar D7, I knew I had no choice. I turned it. Gas off. Whole neighborhood. I filed the safety complaint immediately. The feds showed up faster than you'd think. Karen tried to act shock him, the villain who dared shut off heat and hot water to 47 homes. But the agents weren't buying it. They saw what I saw. They read the same codes I did. And that's when Karen made her biggest mistake. She picked up the phone when I filed the complaint. "Pipeline Safety Services, this is Karen Whitfield," she said, her voice caught on record. That was all I needed. Now it wasn't just a complaint, it was a traceable, documented call where the same woman who violated every safety protocol also tried to manage the fallout. But Karen wasn't done playing dirty. Next morning, she rode up with county officials and a building inspector, waving around paperwork claiming my land had been declared a public hazard. She even filed an eminent domain request to seize it for community use. That's when I remembered something Grandma told me: if the cabin ever goes, look behind the fireplace. And damn if that old stone chimney hadn't survived the bulldozer. Behind it, tucked in a steel tube, were photos, recordings, and the one thing that changed everything: a phone call Grandma had recorded. Karen talking with a planning official months before I even arrived. Plotting. Bragging. Saying they'd manufacture whatever violations they needed. So I went live. Streamed everything. Karen's face. The evidence. The voice recording. The paper trail. The moment I played her voice, saying, "We'll get the Rodriguez kid out one way or another," the entire room turned. Her neighbors, the ones she claimed to represent, started asking questions. A lot of them. Then came the confession. "Yeah," she cracked. "Fine," she snapped, eyes locked on the camera. "I did it. I bulldozed it. I forged the violations. I did it to get the land. It's worth millions when the highway goes through." You could have heard a pin drop. The HOA members, the feds, the local news crew that had shown up once the stream hit 10,000 viewers, everyone just stood there. Karen, who had spent years hiding behind rules and the codes, finally admitted it was about greed. Control. And nothing else. I turned the gas back on 3 days later after a proper inspection, of course. Karen. She was facing charges. Her husband's gas company lost its license. And the land. We used that illegal road she built as the foundation for a real only public access trail named after Grandma Elena. So yeah. She thought she could take a shortcut through my life. Thought a white SUV and a title on a clipboard made her untouchable. But you know what? Sometimes you don't fight back with fists, you fight back with facts. With patience. With everything your grandmother left behind, tucked behind the chimney just waiting to be found. So tell me, where do you draw the line between rules and abuse? Between order and straight-up theft? I wanna hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Because sometimes justice doesn't knock on your door. Sometimes you gotta build the damn hinges yourself. That fence. That cabin. They were mine, built by my grandfather, cared for by my grandmother, passed down like you'd pass down a family name or a worn Bible. And yet there I was, standing in the Texas heat with dust still on my boots, watching splinters of wood and busted cedar lie scattered across my land like some kind of battlefield, while a woman in spotless white boots pointed at it all like she was proud of the wreckage. "This violates HOA Code 6.2.1, she said, lips tight, voice dripping with the kind